Okay, next time I'm just going to say, quit ignoring me and listen to me.
Awesome. Okay, so tell me your name, but I want you to say, hi, my name's...
Hi, my name's Aunt Jo.
And what was your birth name?
Joanne Dickinson.
Okay, so I want you to say, hi, my name is Joanne Gellner, and I was born Joanne Dickinson.
My name is Joanne Gellner, and I was born Joanne Dickinson. No middle name.
Cool. Okay, so tell me a little bit about, tell me when you were born. Tell me a little bit about what you know of your birth.
Well, actually, I don't know a lot, only what I've heard. And what I've heard is we moved around a lot and just lived in rented houses for a while until we moved down Lexington. But when they brought us home from the hospital, one thing that Uncle Jack said, because there was two of us, Janine and myself, and he saw us for the first time and said, they look like monkeys. So that's about all I remember about being young, except for pictures I've seen from different stuff. So
when you were born, what house did they bring you to?
I'm not sure. I think it was on Burns Avenue, or I think it was on Burns.
And that was in Akron.
Yes,
Yeah.
North Hill.
So do you know anything about the house on Burns Avenue?
Well, we had a neighbor that helped my mom, since there were two of us. And her and my mom were very close. And so she really helped my mom when we were small. That's about all I know. And her name was Mrs. Shuri. I think it was Imogene. Or that was her daughter, I'm not sure. But I know that she helped and that there's an Imogene in there someplace.
Okay, so tell me where you were born.
I was born in, I think, Akron City Hospital. August 31st, 1929. From there we moved to, I believe, Mount Vernon. And I vaguely remember that. I think we were maybe 2. I remember the house. Mainly, I think, because when we moved to Lexington, then from there, we used to go up, there was a little store next door to us. Do I dare to say the name of the store? It's called the Hunky Store. And that's what everyone called it. And it was right next to our house on Mount Vernon. It was a stucco house, white. And across the street were the Bostons. And they had 7 children. And Mrs. Boston and my mom used to can every summer. They'd can jars of mixed vegetables and use it for vegetable soup during the winter. Canned beans, peaches, corn. And then we had fruit cellars that we used to put all these jars in the fruit cellar. So then from there we moved. The biggest thing I think about Mrs. Boston is that when she washed dishes, she made the washing dishes look like the best thing in the world. You could feel her.
Hold on, intro has a call.
Yep, right. I got a call coming in here. So do I have to keep talking or?
716 area code?
No, I don't know. They called earlier. Hello? Hello? Yes? Yeah? Yes? Just okay. I'm gonna talk. It's a scam.
Yes. Can I have your, where are you calling from?
I get those all the time.
Cool. And what's your name? Christina. And what's your home address, please? What's your home address and your home address and your home phone number? And what's your bank account information, please? Can I have your home address and your name and your bank account information, please?
This is one of my stories. She hang up?
Yes.
But the second one I had today. The other one was from the guy that's been calling every day.
She started laughing.
Oh, yeah? She said she was calling from the U.S. government.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
And there was $1,000 I never had to pay back.
Yes, yes.
So I knew it was a scam.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's get back. So tell me, so you're telling me about Mrs.
Oh, Mrs. Boston.
Yeah.
When she washed dishes, she just slopped that soap and water around so that it made you feel like you wanted to, it even sounded good, you know? And you wanted to kind of get right up there to the sink and help her.
Cool.
That's just a good memory I had from being a kid.
Cool. So tell me a little bit about, I mean, who were the members of your family? Why Canada? Why were you born in Akron?
Okay, my brother was Jack. He was the oldest, by 10 years older than Janine and I. And then my sister Henrietta, who was next. And then my sister Marjorie, who is David's mother. And she was 4 years older than Janine and I. And then Janine and I came along. And that was the end of that. So, and of course we were spoiled because we were twins and because we had a bunch of sisters and a brother. So, one good story about Jack, my brother, is he always kept this is older, when he was older and was working at Kroger's. And he always kept a 5-pound chunk of milk chocolate in this top dresser drawer with a handy pocket knife. And Janine and I used to go in there and just break a chunk off all the time and eat it. And when it got too small, though, we always left it for Jack. We never ate that part of it. But later on in years, we thought we were the only ones doing it. Later on in years, we found out that Marjorie did it, Henrietta did it, Mom did it. Never knew about my dad, but all the rest of them were taking it too. So we weren't the only ones eating that. But we really felt guilty, but it didn't stop us. So, and
so tell me your dad's name and your mom's name and a little about them.
My dad was Harold Frederick Dickinson. My mother was born Edith Laura. I don't know if that's her full name or not. I know it was Edith, E-D-Y-T-H-E. Laura, and she was Oldfield. And they got married in Canada. My dad was he was 17 when his father died. He had a brother and a sister that had died before he was even born. and his mother died when he was 21. So when Mom and Dad got married, he had no family. He had an aunt and uncle that lived in Thornberry, where they were. But to my recollection, that's all there was. Now he had relatives in Hamilton, Toronto, and he used to visit the ones in Hamilton. He came to the States. Well, he had quite a little bit of money left to him, but he was a very generous man, and young, didn't really realize what he had. And they had a business. I don't know whether this all happened. It had to happen after they were married, but I don't know how long they had been married before they went up to the point and opened up a grocery store on Double Island, which is where Grandpa Oldfield had his fishing business. And this grocery store was the only one around. And you had to, and then they were using like rowboats to get back and forth, and that was like 7 miles to the station to anything else. And so a lot of people used that store. Plus he had boats he rented, and I don't know what all they sold in the store, but it was groceries, meats. But my dad had a bookkeeper working for him. And from what I hear, the bookkeeper wasn't a very good bookkeeper, or he took a little in his pocket. I don't know. I think my dad allowed too much credit to everyone, Indians and relatives and everyone, and so he lost his fortune anyway. And he had a cousin that lived in, I think he came from Hamilton originally, but he had relatives in Boston. And he was living in Akron, Ohio, and working for Goodrich, a rubber company, and had quite a good job there. I don't know what it was, I just know it was a good job. And he told my dad if he came down here, he'd see that he had a job. So my dad came here first without Mom. And of course, Janine and I weren't born then. It was just Jack, Henrietta, and Marjorie. We had a sister, Eleanor, who was born between Marjorie and Henrietta, but she died at just a few months old. I don't know how much, maybe 6 months is what it seems to me. So my dad came down and started working, and then he sent for my mom. And my mom came down here then with Jack and Henrietta and Marjorie. And then we were born here. Not sure how long they were here before. I think Jack was there when he was 10, still at the point. So I would guess maybe they came down to Akron. Jack's 10 years older than me, so what would that put us? Can't think. Brain dumb. Inspiration won't come. No ink, bad pen. Lots of love. Oh man. That's a little. I'll get you to that story. Remind me. Anyway, Jack was at least 10 before they came, because he was 10 when we were born, but we weren't born right away, so they must. Yeah, you can figure that out. So,
so when they first came, where did they stay?
They lived in houses, but they rented them. And I think the first one they went was to, where did I say? Is that Blaine? No, it wasn't Blaine. Shoot, don't remember what one I said.
Okay, doesn't matter. Do you remember, did your dad ever tell?
It was all on North Hill.
Okay, North Hill.
Because Uncle Harry lived on Chalker Street. It was Uncle Harry and Aunt Elsie, but they were really my dad's cousins. But that was really the only relatives we had in Akron at the time. Eventually, Aunt Stella and Uncle Ken came down, and they moved in with Mom and Dad until they could get on their feet and find a place to live. And then Aunt Rena and Uncle Cecil came down, which was my mom's other sister, and they did the same thing. He got a job at Goodyear, both of them did. And then once they got on their feet, they got their own apartments.
So did your dad ever tell you stories about when he was younger?
No.
How about your mom?
Well, my mom was the oldest of 6. Well, second oldest of 6. She was the oldest of the girls. There were 3 boys and three girls in her family. And Uncle Willie was the oldest, and Mom was next. So Mom remembers taking care of her brothers and sisters, younger brothers and sisters, a lot. So that's really what I remember the most about what she had told me right now that I can think of.
So, and her father
was Grandpa Oldfield, who had the fishing business on Double Island.
And his father?
Well, I think you know more about that than I do. His father, I right now I can't remember the
lighthouse.
Grandpa Oldfield?
Grandpa Oldfield's dad had the lighthouse.
Uncle Sam? Oh, he was.
Samuel Edward Oldfield?
Okay. I thought that was on my grandmother's side, though. No. I thought that was a Vale. Samuel Vale had it at one time, too, I think. Because he had 6 kids, too. And one daughter's name was Honey, who lives up in British Columbia now.
So what are your earliest memories?
My earliest memories, I remember Lexington more than I remember anything else. I think we were about 3 when we moved there. I remember we had a beautiful big peach tree that had the most delicious peaches on it you'd ever find, and got struck by lightning one time and split it in half. It was on a bank, so the people that lived next door to us, they had 4 girls. And we always fought over who that tree belonged to. But we claimed it. So, and then we had a big apple tree that my mom used to make applesauce and apple pies. We'd come home from school and she'd have maybe 6, 8 apple pies on the counter. And one time I came home and she had made apple pies and she had a big black eye. So we said, Mom, what happened? She said she used to go out and pick the apples up off the ground and, cut the bruises out of them. That would be what started. And then if she needed more, she would shake them out of the tree with a clothes prop. And when she tried to shake them out of the tree that day, one come down, hit her in the eye, and gave her a real shiner. So we kidded her about that for a while. So, and she used to bake bread all the time, and she'd make cinnamon rolls, big trays of them. And Janine and I used to take a bunch of them out behind the garage, and man, we'd make ourselves sick over them. But Jack used to also, she'd have loaves of bread sitting on the counter, and Jack would go in and slice all the crust off, all the way around. And Mom would go back, there'd be the bread there, but no crust on it. So, yeah.
Okay.
She was a good baker.
So you knew that the house in Lexington you knew pretty well.
Yeah. Okay. That's really my best memories. I just know from being on the porch of the one on Mount Vernon and kids playing around and some of the neighbors. In fact, one of the girls that lived down the street gave us piano lessons for a while, which Jack paid for, but we never practiced, so we were no good. But that was when we lived on Lexington that we got those. But, you know, Lexington really is the only house I really, really remember. We had hardwood floors, beautiful hardwood floors, and just a runner going through. And this one day, I slid right down the runner, well, outside the runner, and just hit my head on the entrance to the kitchen. So, so they finally ended up getting them carpeted, but they had beautiful hardwood floors in it.
Okay, so I want you to close your eyes for a minute, and I want you to, you know, say you're. I mean, when you think of the house, what age do you know?
Do I think we moved in?
No. When you think of the house on Lexington in North Hill, what age do you picture yourself at? What's the first age that comes to mind?
Probably in grade school. Probably maybe 10.
Okay, so keep your eyes closed. Okay, so you're walking up to the house. I want you to keep your eyes closed, and I just want you to walk me through the house. The first thing, walking up the stairs, the smell.
It had.
The first thing, you're coming up the stairs.
Right. It had a big porch on it that had like 8 steps up to the porch. It had a brick wall in front, and then there was 3 steps up to the sidewalk, and then the sidewalk up to the stairs, and it was about 8 steps. And they started out to be wood, and then I think Mom and Dad put cement steps there. But we had a big porch, which we always had a swing on. And we were always playing on that porch. In the summertime, you know, the girls next door were about our age. The oldest girl was Marjorie's age, and the next 2 girls were Janine and my age. And so we were always playing together. In fact, one year I had diphtheria. Janine will say she had it, but I had it. They came and gave the other one a shot, whichever one it was. I think it was Janine. She was sleeping when they gave it to her, and she jumped up in her bed and was jumping around with a needle in her arm.
So I want you to,
then we go in the front door.
So you open the front door, and I just want you to walk me through what's on the left, what's on the right,
when we were kids, you walked into a fairly good-sized living room.
You can open your eyes.
And then on the, let's see, I got to turn myself around here. And then on the left was a bedroom that had sliding wooden doors on it, and that's Mom and Dad's bedroom. The driveway was, their window was on the driveway side. And then when you went into the living room, you went right from there into a dining room. There was no wall separating those. But there also was not, there were stairs going up, there was going up to an attic. And the stairs had, they were open. There was no wall or anything in the dining room there. At the bottom of the stairs off that was a small bedroom, which is where Jack stayed. And then if you walked down next to the stairs, you walked right into the bathroom. This is all open. And then to the left of the bathroom was a bedroom. And that's where all 4 of us girls slept. There was an entranceway. There was no closet in that room. There was an entranceway to go down to the basement from that room. Then if you went back out to the stairway again, to the right, you would go straight, and you went into a kitchen that just had a kitchen table. It was small, just had sinks and cupboards. You know, of course we had old stoves and ice boxes, not refrigerators, ice boxes.